This is Video Interface 8, in which I'm going to be talking to the director of the PC division of Toshiba, Mike Lunch.
I'll be bringing you all the news and industry update.
I'm going to find out what Microsoft TechNet is all about.
Whilst I'll be talking to Dave House, Senior Vice President of Corporate Strategy at Intel. Well, it's pause button time if you want to read the index and reset your minutes and seconds counter because the timings are taken from now. Welcome to the first Lantec video interface of 1994. Well, a lot of things dropped out of the envelope this month. As promised, here's the index to the 7 volumes of Video Interface 1993. We've included our usual reply paid card as well, in case you want to send us any feedback, and it's always very welcome. But most exciting, I suppose, is this. The next edition of Video Interface will be recorded before a live audience at the Forum. That's Novell's Theatre in Bracknell. The card has all the details, so if you'd like to be in the audience, see the whole event live, and have the opportunity to speak with our special guests, just fill in the form on the back and send it to Novell's Events Department, who have generously offered to look after the bookings. Michael Wade has the first item this month. Michael.
With me today is Jeremy Gittins of Microsoft, and we're going to have a look at TechNet. Welcome, Jeremy.
Thank you for inviting me here.
Jeremy, what is TechNet?
Well, Microsoft TechNet is a CD subscription service that will put the most up-to-date technical information about Microsoft products in your hands.
Fine. So it's like Knowledge Base.
Knowledge Base is an excellent database, but a Knowledge Base will only form part of Microsoft TechNet. There's so much more on TechNet to enable you to access much more information. Knowledge Base was a database that held every answer to every question that was documented about Microsoft products, but that is only part of TechNet. Mm-hmm. Can I show you one of the interfaces of Microsoft TechNet is the contents interface, and here you'll see that we have lots and lots of books which describe the contents of TechNet. Knowledge Base is just one of those books. There are other books which contain so much information which you could access. For instance, I've opened the Services and Support book. Under that book there, you'll find training, you'll find directories of information, you'll find information on programs such as the Microsoft Certified Professional Program. There's so much information in there that it would be hard for me to go through and show you through this interface.
Right. So it's a product for technical specialists?
Yes, it is. It's designed for people who support, administer IT systems. If you have to support any Microsoft product, indeed any Microsoft product and any other vendor's product, you can use Microsoft TechNet to get the information you need instantly.
All right, so let's have a look at something. I've got a Workgroups PC on my desk. I want to link it with a server and PathWorks. Can we find a solution to that problem?
Sure. I could just read these documents, but that would be, as I said, very long-winded. We have a very powerful search engine on Microsoft TechNet, so I can just put in a query and it will search the whole contents of the CD for the information.
Right.
So your inquiry was, you wanted to know more, I believe, about workgroups. Mm-hmm. Now what it's doing here is it's searching 100,000 pages of technical information for the string workgroups. And here we can see that we've got 1,876 topics found. Now I could double click on any one of these topics and read that relevant section. They are listed in order of importance. In other words, the document at the top has the most references to workgroups within it.
All right, but I'm going to be overwhelmed with all this information. I need really much more of an answer to my question.
Well, to be honest, I thought your question was a little vague, but I think the general gist of it was that you wanted to integrate a Windows for Workgroups 3.11 machine with a DEC PathWorks server. Right. So what we can do with this search engine is drill deeper into this information. I found over 1,800 topics. I can now redefine my search, in other words, drill down deeper into all this information and look for the answer to the question that you've just posed.
All right, so what kind of logic can I use to do that? I mean, how can I narrow it down?
Okay, that's a good question, because here now, having found everything on workgroups, I want to find everything on PathWorks and 3.11.
Right.
Well, literally I can pose the question like that. Under this hints button here, you can see that I can use any Boolean statement to drill down deeper into that information. So I've used this a few times, so I think the statement we need is something like pathworks and 311. Well, let's try that. So
it's searching.
It's drilling down deeper, and we've now found 15 topics out of those 1,800 topics with references to workgroups, pathworks, and 311. I could also check this box here and drill down even deeper and look for the string deck. And what this is doing now is just searching the titles rather than the contents of that article. And here we have an article here, running Windows for workgroups on DEC Pathworks Network. Double click on that, and here is the article which will tell me the answer to the question you've just posed.
Why shouldn't I just pick up the phone and phone you rather than subscribe to TechNet?
Well, Microsoft TechNet puts this information at your fingertips. If you wanted to use telephone support, you would have to ring up and wait for your slot to get the answer that you needed. Also, you'd perhaps be limited to certain times of the day. TechNet is accessible to you 24 hours a day. It also enables you to drill deeper. Often when you make a telephone call, you will pose the question based on a limited knowledge of the problem that you're having. You'll get the answer that you need, go back to your machine and find that you need to know more information. As you've just seen with the powerful search engine on Microsoft TechNet, you can drill deeper and deeper and deeper to find the information that you particularly need. You can then print it off, you can then cut and paste it to documents of your own, you can annotate it, you can put bookmarks in it, so it's always accessible to you and your colleagues.
Brilliant. All right, I'm convinced. So if I want to subscribe to TechNet, what do I do?
Well, Microsoft TechNet is a subscription service. Your annual subscription to TechNet will cost you £249 plus VAT. You can also purchase additional licenses, so you could have this on your CD-ROM on your machine and you could share it across the network with your colleagues. To purchase Microsoft TechNet, you would call the Microsoft Subscription Centre on 0800 96 0279 and have your credit card information with you. If you don't have that, just simply ask for an invoice.
All right, well, I'm sure lots of people are going to be doing that very shortly. Jeremy, thanks very much indeed for coming in.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Hello again. It's here. That's the wording on about 10 different press releases and other communications that have arrived from Computer Associates this month. What's here? SuperCalc for Windows, of course. Billed as the spreadsheet from the next dimension, the new version promises 12-dimensional modelling, English language formulae, a powerful reporting facility and business modelling tools such as forecasting, allocation and goal seeking. If you saw the demonstration of CA Compete in Video Interface Edition 3, you'll be pleased to learn that the new edition of SuperCalc shares many of the same facilities. And of course there's a special offer. You can upgrade for just £49 regardless of what spreadsheet you have at present. Hayes have announced a modem that transfers more than a megabyte a minute over a dial-up phone line. The Hayes Optima 288 VFC Plus Fax, don't you love those snappy product names, is a powerful solution for remote node access to a LAN, transferring large data files or multimedia. Transmitting 230k bits per second using data compression, it implements VFast class or VFC technology jointly developed by Hayes and Rockwell. The RRP is $599, but until March 31st you can buy two for £750. See your Lantec account manager if you'd like more details. The Coral Corporation has bought the rights to the Ventura DTP products and launched Coral Ventura 4.2. They have also dropped the price a little, from £695 to £169 in fact. On top of this, Coral are adding extra value by bundling in Ventura Database Publisher, 600 TrueType fonts, 10,000 clip art images and 100 photo CD pictures. You need a CD-ROM drive to take advantage of all this, but the value is undeniable. You can even upgrade from the Ventura Gem version or Coral Draw for only £79. WordPerfect have announced an expanded customer support service. WordPerfect's famous free telephone support stays, of course, but it is renamed Classic. There is also an instant access priority service and 3 corporate tiers of Silver, Gold and Platinum. Does this sound familiar? It reminds us strongly of Borland's TechNet. And this is not the only way these two companies seem to be pulling together. This press release arrived from Borland last week. Borland and WordPerfect pledge Borland Office 2 will challenge suite leaders. Fighting talk indeed. Over to Steve for a moment, who is with Daniel Sumner of WordPerfect and Jackie Kerr of Borland.
Daniel, what makes you so optimistic that you're going to win market share with this product?
Well, there are a number of reasons, but I think primarily, obviously, we have a great product inside Borland Office. There's some great features and some great technology. Second to that, though, is really the marketing skills of both companies combined is quite phenomenal. I mean, let's just take a step back and look at WordPerfect 5.1 for Windows when we introduced that into the Windows market when there were already Windows word processors out there. Again, nobody thought that we could become so dominant in that market, yet now we have around about 45% market share in Windows word processing alone. So 15% market share this year in the suite market, I think is something we can easily achieve.
Jackie, let me pick you up on this 15%. That's quite a figure to go for. Do you think that's realistic?
We believe it's realistic, yes. As Daniel said, we have a very strong suite with strong components. It's a fully integrated suite, and it also offers workgroup capabilities and SQL client-server capabilities right out of the box. So basically you have a complete solution for corporate data management.
Okay, Daniel, is it necessary for a software company to have a suite product? Is the day of the single best-of-breed killer app really gone?
Right. Well, it really depends on the nature of the company. I mean, the applications that both WordPerfect and Borland provide are quite phenomenal themselves. I mean, WordPerfect has its own built-in drawing tools, etc., and basic spreadsheet capabilities, and Quattro Pro indeed has its own drawing and presentation tools also built into it. So it really depends on the nature of the company. However, in the long term, there are going to be a number of benefits from suites. A single set of integrated applications are obviously a lot easier to manage in terms of the technology, in terms of software maintenance and updating. And secondly, in terms of training as well, actually having a user learn those, they'll have similar interfaces across all their applications they're using. So I think in the long term, yes, there is a movement towards suites.
Jackie, is this as far as Borland and WordPerfect can go in working together, or are we going to see more results of this cooperation in the future?
No, you will see future versions of Borland Office. This isn't going to be the final version that you'll see. We want to carry on with research and development and joint marketing and include features such as early version 2 in future versions of Borland Office.
Daniel, I'm going to pose this question to you first, but I'd like an answer from both of you. Everybody out there wants me to ask you, I'm sure, are the two companies going to merge at some point?
Well, no, the two companies are not going to merge. Firstly, WordPerfect Corporation is a private company, and secondly, Borland is a public company. So right in the short term, it's just not going to happen. We're not going to merge the two companies together. In the long term, I don't foresee us doing that either. Primarily because, well, we have some great strategies now. We work in different markets, but if we work together, then we can produce some great solutions and really help the industry move forward.
And you're fully in agreement with that, Jackie?
I am, yes. Yes.
Okay. I personally find it great to see two companies working together, and I think it's good news for the industry. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aldus have released Freehand 4 for the Macintosh. New capabilities include enhanced text, controls, a streamlined customisable user interface featuring floating palettes instead of menus, extensive graphic additions, and Fetch, which you may remember we told you about last year. It's shipping right now. We thought you'd be interested to see a chart that came our way this week. This shows 1993's top 10 worldwide PC applications by revenue. According to DataQuest, from whom these figures originate, the application suite market grew by a staggering 200% last year. During 1994, DataQuest say that this segment will account for over $100 billion. The third leg of the Whitbread Round the World race, the 3,272 nautical miles from Fremantle, Australia to Auckland, New Zealand, resulted in the closest finish of the race so far. New Zealander Grant Dalton's Maxi Ketch New Zealand Endeavour just pipped the Lantec favourite Toshiba-sponsored Whitbread 60 Tokyo, skippered by Kiwi Chris Dixon, to win by 2 minutes and 12 seconds after 13 days at sea. As the two yachts entered Auckland Harbour, Tokyo held the lead, but Endeavour managed to steal her wind and finish less than 200 metres ahead to take leg honours and the Heineken Trophy for the Maxi class. Tokyo picked up the Heineken Trophy for the Whitbread 60 class. We'll bring you more news in the next edition of Video Interface, by which time the fleet should have completed the fourth leg from Auckland back to Punta del Este in Uruguay. In edition 7, we promised you a look at the technology behind the Whitbread race. Mike Lunch of Toshiba is our guest in the Rod Report coming up next. And that's Industry Update for February 1994.
Hello again. The truth is that the Auckland finish of the Whitbread was very exciting, but a bit of a disaster from a television point of view, because it all happened in the dead of night and viewers really couldn't see what was going on. But for Mike Lunch, that didn't matter a jot, because he was following proceedings on his Toshiba. Now Mike, before we get into the wonders of the Whitbread, we've billed you as introducing the new range of Toshiba products. So what are you going to be showing us?
There are 3 new models that we launched a couple of months ago. All of them are very much the next generation of portable PCs. They all feature 486 processors with local bus video graphics, with TFT color screens, and with PCM CIA cards.
Very powerful beasts.
They're all very powerful. It's 33, 40 and 50 megahertz processors, 300 megabyte disk drives, very powerful machines indeed, yeah.
Well, let's use your contribution to the whole Whitbread project as a way of demonstrating what this power really means. How did you follow the finish at Auckland?
The Whitbread race results service provided people with the ability to follow the race almost in real time. It's a system that British Telecom put together using a notebook PC on every yacht, linked in with a GPS satellite navigator, a little box about this size, which is able to tell the PC exactly the position of each yacht in real time. The notebook PC on the yacht stores that information and transmits it back to Southampton via satellite link, Inmarsat satellite link, so that in Southampton they're able to put together a database of the exact course, speed, direction of each of the yachts in real time. That was then put together every 4 hours and published as a fax information or by telephone or onto your own PC.
Well, we've already logged onto it, so let's have a look at what it showed us about that exciting finish as the fleet approached New Zealand.
Well, this is what we see here is the top of the North Island of New Zealand, and the yachts are approaching the finish, and we are able to run through the last few hours of the race. And indeed here, what we're seeing is the yachts' positions every 1 hour, because the excitement of the race finish was so great that they changed it from 4-hour reporting to 1-hour reporting, because everyone in New Zealand was dialing in all the time. And so here you can see the yachts as they're approaching the Cape. There's New Zealand Endeavour, the Maxi, is in second place, and Tokyo is in first place. And they're covering each other, racing boat for boat, as if it were an America's Cup race.
Now, Tokyo is the Toshiba boat, is it not? But
yes,
it's right to say that there is a Toshiba on every boat.
Yes, that's right. Every single boat has got a Toshiba notebook PC on it. And where the great excitement came in this race was in this last section here. Now you can see that the black blob, which is Tokyo, is still just ahead. The Maxi is 25 feet longer than the Whitbread 60 Tokyo, but in fact New Zealand Endeavour in the light airs just before the end of the race sneaked through and finished some 2 minutes ahead.
Oh, so was Tokyo beaten?
Tokyo was beaten for line honours in this particular leg, but she's overall leader and she won her leg in her class. So at the moment Tokyo is substantially in the lead in the whole event. They're doing very well.
How important is it to realise that the boats would often be using the Toshiba on board to see where their rivals were?
Well, if you look back to this position coming up to the North Island, you can see the yachts tacking in towards the headland here. And in fact, they would be out of sight of each other in this area here, but they were able to get the same data themselves on where their competitors were, and they were able to use that information to influence their tactics.
I think what comes across here is the ability to communicate between a very small machine over enormous distances. How do you demonstrate the real power of a package like this?
Well, the actually the screens we're looking at here, it looks like just an image, a photograph perhaps of that part of the world. In reality, it's a vector graphics mapping of the whole world. This is just a little small section of it. And instead of storing images, which would take an enormous amount of space, it's actually storing a formula which defines the shape of the coastline. And that allows you to zoom in on almost any part of the world. And you need a very powerful PC to handle that kind of calculation. Shall we have a little go at that? See if I can get you in here. Let's zoom in, for example, on this area close to the finish, and see how this looks.
So what we're doing here is real-time reproduction of information stored as a formula inside the computer.
And in fact, we're now at a very close scale. You can see the tracks of the yachts as they came down here, and we're right. This is little tiny islands off the New Zealand coast. So there's an enormous amount of data being stored, which is able to be brought out as a map of almost anywhere in the world.
So great power, great speed, great communication ability. That's on your 4700. Let's swap these two round and give us a flavour of what your tiny 3400 is able to do, because it's almost as powerful, I think.
Yes, the 3400 actually this has been a very exciting product to launch, whereas the 4700 had multimedia capability. It has built-in sound capability as well as the local bus graphics. The 3400 is much smaller and lighter because it hasn't got a floppy disk drive built in. You have an optional floppy disk drive, and it uses for the first time a lithium-ion battery. So the weight of this machine is a tiny little thing, and it can be carried around almost in your pocket. In this particular machine, we've got loaded a piece of electronic chart plotting software. What we've got here is a shot of the lizard. This is an electronic chart, and it's showing here an area of overfalls and rough water off the Lizard Peninsula. It's got indications of depth. It knows the tides. It knows the flow of current. And what I'm illustrating here is that a couple of years ago we were involved in taking a large ship from around Land's End and into Falmouth. And the blue route plotted here was the course we wanted to take and we asked the computer to do. It then showed us the white plot. This was where we would actually end up with the set of the tide. And we were able to use electronic chart plotting to plot in where we actually went. And if I just select the log here, and you can see now it's plotted in red. This red line running along the screen is where we actually went.
A few late decisions in there, I think.
Well, yes, we checked the wind was better, so we started to stay offshore.
Fascinating though this is, I mean, give us an idea of the levels of calculation necessary to produce that sort of display.
Well, once again, this is a vector graphics map, so there's no image of the coastline here. It's all been stored as formulas. And when it's plotting the course that it will take, it's making a calculation every half hour for the different state of the tide. It's working out precisely how the current will set the ship off course, and it's correcting for it. So it's the kind of calculations that, quite honestly, done by hand would take an enormous amount of time. The PC can do it in a flash.
Clearly you don't only sell your machines to yachtsmen. What's the business significance in all this?
The amount of power that you see in these PCs today is enabling very specialist vertical applications, such as these two that we've seen here, to be developed with very specific business use. In fact, these are low-cost software packages because the market for them is actually quite substantial. So you can use all the existing normal productivity software, but you can also develop some very specific vertical applications. In fact, these days with building bricks such as Microsoft Excel and Visual Basic, you can put together applications that look like very complex custom applications, but in fact they're using standard building bricks.
So quite apart from all the boring things we could have talked about, like spreadsheets and word processing,
yes,
it's now possible for software developers to produce very focused packages, yes, for business applications.
Yes, indeed. And the power of the 486 processor and large disks means that actually processing power isn't the limitation anymore. It's the ingenuity of the designer and indeed working out from a customer's perspective how best to use this technology.
I think another thing that impresses me is that you don't necessarily have to buy the top end of the Toshiba range to achieve these sorts of results. Let's look at your new 1950.
Well, we're actually looking here at a weather map taken by a satellite camera passing over northern Europe. I'll come back to that in a moment. 1950 is really a machine that is the entry end to TFT colour notebooks. Very powerful processor, 40 megahertz DX2, local bus video graphics and TFT. It's got the PCMCIA card but no docking station capability. Now this software we're illustrating is exactly the kind of thing that you'd expect to see used on the weather map at the end of the day with Michael Fish. And this illustration here shows you Northern Europe taken some months ago. The white marks are obviously the clouds, and this is a visual shot. But you can also look at the infrared camera's image, and I'll just show you that one, where the infrared camera, it's exactly the same image, quite difficult to see now, but can you see this is the coastline of France? And what it's showing you is that the bright red here shows the sea. The land, of course, is much warmer than the sea. The sea is blue here. And a navigator would be able to look at this image and interpret the different sea temperature changes. And you can see that the sea up here in the North Sea, the green colour, is a lower temperature than down here in the Bay of Biscay. He can interpret changes in sea temperature as anticipating changes in the wind and was able to navigate accordingly. This is actually able to show also a complete 3D image of the cloud structure. Now this is actually being plotted in real time, and it's taken the data that was gathered from that satellite and actually calculating what the visual image of those clouds is.
Fascinating though it is, it's no secret that you're a yachting, weather, navigation enthusiast. How well are software developers responding to the possibilities that this sort of power gives them?
Well, this is a nice illustration of a state-of-the-art software package. The computing power that you've just seen there is comparable to what you would have seen perhaps 5 years ago on a supercomputer at Bracknell. The images that we've seen on our weather map on television are the result of tremendously high technology, and it's stunning to be able to get that technology here on a portable PC.
How is that affecting the way people are buying computers now?
It's allowing them to do things that they previously couldn't have considered doing out and about on the move. Traditionally, portable PCs were used very much as a second PC, with a desktop being used for the main application. But with the kind of power we're talking about here and on the other models in the range, it means that really you don't need to have two PCs. You can have one portable PC doing the whole job, doing all the work of the desktop PC, but with the capability to take the computer to the work, take it with you out and about, as well as being used in the office.
I don't know whether you ever actually said it, but Toshiba is credited at least with saying one day all PCs will be portable.
Yes.
Have we reached that day yet?
I think it's actually a fine vision. The reality is that, of course, there will always be an application for desktop PCs and for dumb terminals for certain types of applications, such as back office use, accounting, order processing, and so on. But there is a certain class of user, typically middle management, senior management, sales, marketing people, where really the portable is the main use PC. Many of our customers have now standardized on portables as their only purchase for certain classes of employee, simply because of the benefits of portability.
And in so doing, they're not compromising on speed, power, in any way?
Not at all. I mean, the machines we're looking at here have all got exactly the same capability as medium to even top-end desktops today. But of course, you can take it around and use it with the customer, use it in sales meetings, or do your email from home, or dare I say it, on the train, commuting home, or even on a plane.
Mike Ludge, we're very grateful to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you want to know what's going to be happening in microcomputing in the next 10 years, you can do a lot worse and talk to the Senior Vice President of Corporate Strategy at Intel, which is exactly what we did earlier this week. Dave House, welcome to Video Interface.
Thank you.
Dave, a few years ago, Intel made some predictions about what they saw as being the PC of the year 2000. I remember some of the specs that were quoted were 500 megahertz and an 8 megabyte cache on the chip and 2 billion instructions per second. How close are we getting to that? Are we on target for that?
Well, that prediction was actually made about 1988 or 1989, and if you look at the progress we've made since then, clearly that prediction was a safe prediction. It looks like we may actually be a little bit ahead of that. We may accomplish that a year or two early at this point in time.
Right. Are you changing your prediction for 2000?
Well, we haven't redone this particular paper that you're referring to, but just some checks back with the technical people say that maybe we'll realize it a little earlier.
Right, okay. What sort of things is that sort of power going to do for us that we can't do now? It's a very broad question, I know, but can you try and answer that?
Well, there are two primary things it'll do. First of all, today's computers fall very short in human interface. And the computer of the year 2000 will deal with us in the way that we deal with each other, with more natural data types, not just text, but sound and speech recognition, handwriting recognition, pictures, full motion video, more natural data types. And the second thing that power will do will be to allow us to access a whole wide network of information and to pull information from that network in any data type. That is, not just text and numbers, but also video and sound and more natural data types.
I've heard a little while ago the concept of two people sitting in different countries, if possible, actually working on the same document or the same piece of data at the same time interactively on their screens. Is this part of what's going to come?
Well, you don't have to wait for the year 2000 for that. You can do that in 1994.
Right.
Actually, Intel has just introduced in the United States a product called ProShare Personal Conferencing, which gives you that capability. We'll be bringing that to Europe later this year. And this product comes actually 3 different products in a family. The beginning or entry-level product, the standard product for ProShare Personal Conferencing, is a software-only product that allows exactly what you said, sharing a document or any application, and allow people on either end of a communication to mark up, highlight, make changes, edit, actually with the Premier Edition to actually share a single application.
And this is whilst presumably we're talking about being able to see each other and hear each other and have a full conversation face-to-face at the same time as well.
Well, the ProShare family includes the ProShare Standard product, the ProShare Premier product, and the ProShare Personal Conferencing Video System 200. The Video System 200 adds video capability. With that product, you plug in an ISDN interface card and a video card, and it comes with a little camera that sits on top of your monitor and a earpiece and with a microphone built in. And with that, you can see in the window the person at the other end of the call. With the standard product and the Premier product that operate over any existing modem, any LAN connection today, you don't necessarily have the bandwidth to be able to handle video data type. You really have to go to a digital line like ISDN to get the video capability.
Right. Is ISDN itself going to be sufficient to carry all these data types in the future, or are we going to be looking at something even beyond that by the year 2000?
Certainly by the year 2000 we'll move on beyond just ISDN to something like ATM, and ATM seems to be the clear choice. There's good industry consensus between communications and computing that ATM is the right technology for that time period.
Right. Can you describe that system to us briefly in sort of not too technical terms?
ATM is a packet switch based system where the caller, the two ends of a communication basically negotiate for resources such that it guarantees an isochronous connection. That means real-time connection so that sound and video can be sent, because these data types require a time sequence of playback and allow you to reserve basically a certain amount of bandwidth according to what the needs of the particular application are.
Right.
But more simply stated, it's an advanced communication technology that basically eliminates the problems of timing and bandwidth.
Right. copper isn't obviously going to cope with this. We're going to have to go to fibre optics or satellite transmission, or how are we going to find the bandwidth to actually transfer this data from one place to another?
Actually, the ATM technology is scalable in terms of data rates. It'll operate over copper, but a lot of it, certainly the backbone, will all be over fiber.
So you mentioned personal conferencing as one of the areas to look for to the future. Let me ask you to be visionary. What else should we be looking for? What should the people who are watching this be investigating for the future in terms of their business practices and the direction their businesses should go?
Well, just if you look at the year 2000 and just imagine for a minute that you're in the year 2000 and what things will be like. First of all, you'll seldom go to the office because you'll be able to do your job from wherever you happen to be. You'll be able to access any information. You'll be able to look at any data. You'll be able to create documents. You'll be able to have meetings. You'll be able to see people right from your PC wherever it happens to be. You'll be able to do this not only when you're at a place where you can get a hold of a piece of copper or fiber, but you'll certainly in that time frame be able to do data conferences and maybe some limited form of video conferences through wireless connections with a notebook computer, a small handheld or pocket size or tablet size computer that has digital packet connection through the air, through microcellular kind of technologies, to be able to do the same functions you could do if you were sitting at a desk at home or at your office.
Right. Somebody on the last edition of Video Interface, a gentleman from IBM, said, "Sell your office space shares now." I mean, you seem to be agreeing with that.
Well, I think what we'll see is that people will be able to do their job from where they choose to do their job.
Right.
And that means that has big implications on, for example, traffic and pollution. Maybe you choose to do your job from London, or maybe you choose to do your job from the south of France, or...
That sounds good. You can stop at that point, yeah.
Or wherever you happen to be. You'll be able to do many of your functions this way. And this should improve the quality of our life, because now we'll be freed, that commute time can be spent with our children, with our family, with our hobby, with our favorite sport, or however we choose to spend it.
Have Intel been able to put any sort of a cost on this future technology? Is it going to be in real terms much more expensive, or much the same, or is it actually going to get cheaper in the future?
Well, what we look at today will certainly be a lot less expensive in the future. But what we'll want in the future will be a lot more than what we have today. And what we're seeing happen is that the amount that's being spent seems to be fairly constant for the office worker, for the home computer buyer, for the high-end super user. They seem to be spending about the same amount each year, but they get more and more for that every year. There'll be a tremendous investment required in the infrastructure. The establishment of these very high bandwidth lines to our homes and to our offices. And that's what the discussion in the United States about the information superhighway or data superhighway is all about. And certainly there's a lot of activity here in the UK as well.
Yes, I've heard this term superhighway connected with 500 television channels and things like that. This is the same one that we're talking about.
Well, the data superhighway or information superhighway means something different to everybody you talk to. The entertainment industry, the cable companies, TV companies in Hollywood, it means video on demand. It means being able to see not only any movie you want, but any television program, because it'll just be released into a video server, a library that you'll access, so you can watch your TV programs anytime after they're released. For the educator, it means that the campus is a virtual campus. You can attend a lecture anywhere. See on your screen the lecturer, you can see the information they're presenting, the board that they're writing on. They can see you in return, so you can participate interactively. You may have certain laboratory work where you're going to have to go to places where you can do that kind of work. But in many ways, the classroom becomes virtual, and our public schools will have access to very high quality lectures and material. To the businessman, what the data information highway means is access to customer information, by market, by segment, by demographics, to competitor moves, the ability to know this information quickly, make quick decisions, and implement decisions very quickly. And it's a real shortening of the time. Increasingly business is about how quickly you can operate and how quickly you can respond to the environment. And it's going to be essential to being competitive in the future.
At the moment in my home, I've got a television or two, a couple of PCs, I've got a telephone, I could have a fax machine. Are we going to see one unit that does it all in widescreen and so on? Is that going to come?
I don't think you'll see one unit, but you'll see a heavy overlap in the functions. You won't see one unit because of social reasons, not technological reasons. That is, where you watch your television, you probably have a nice soft couch and dim lighting, and where you have your computer is probably where you pay your bills or you write letters, and it's probably a more erect chair, and there's a flat surface because you need to put the bills here and the information over here. And so you'll have different work environments, and you'll probably want to continue to pay your bills or send correspondence from one location in your house and watch a movie from another place. And so the equipment might be a little different, but there's no reason that it has to be. And certainly you'll want to be able to watch maybe a business broadcast on your PC product. So you watch television from your desk, and you may want to order a pizza from your television while you're watching, just like you want to order maybe airline tickets from your desk. So you'll have these features will be available on both places, but you'll probably still have more than one appliance.
Right, so when the conflict arises with the children and they want to watch something, you send them to watch it on the PC. I could live with that. Are you making any announcements while you're here in the UK, or can you tell us what's coming up?
I'm not here to make any announcements. I'm meeting with a number of our large customers and with some important users of technology, both to communicate our plans and to get feedback from them. But we are announcing this week in the United States our ProShare family of personal conferencing that I mentioned a minute ago.
Are we going to be seeing demonstrations of these before they come over to the UK, or are we not going to see them physically until
I'll actually be demonstrating those products this week.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll have somebody from Intel back to actually show us those on the program. Dave House, it's been great talking to you. Thank you very much for spending the time with us.
Thank you.
A fascinating look ahead. Now, you'll remember that last time we invited you to guess the title of the film clip that we showed when we were reviewing the CD-ROM Cinemania. We've had a lot of replies, but more are still coming in, so we're going to hold that open until the next edition of Video Interface. Incidentally, the next edition is coming out live. So, if you would like to be in the audience for Video Interface Live, return one of these invitations to us as soon as possible. So, until then, thanks very much for being with us. Bye-bye.